Welcome to the cinema arena. Everyone watches them, everyone loves them, it's Pixar Animation Studios. Now watch as they fight it out in a battle royale to find out which of these animated gems are the best among them in this week's Ranked. And now, your hosts, Adrian and Azrael.
Hey, welcome to the cinema arena. In celebration of Soul coming out later this week, we're going to be ranking Pixar's filmography. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of disagreements, a lot of bloodshed, but I think that's going to be really fun. Before we get started, I'd like to clarify a few things. So we'll only be ranking the top 16 Pixar films. So we've used an algorithm of IMDb user ranking, Rotten Tomatoes critics score, and Letterboxd user rating. And we've taken the top 16 of that, and we'll be arguing within ourselves to rank which is the best Pixar film of all time.
Oof.
Right.
Let's get started.
Or at least until Soul comes out. So 6 films didn't make the cut, and I feel kind of bad leaving them out, so we're just going to talk about them for a bit. So the 6 of them are Cars, Cars 2, Cars 3, none of the trilogy made it, The Good Dinosaur, Monsters University, and Brave. So I guess let's start on the Cars trilogy first.
Okay, so Cars, kind of a childhood favorite, actually.
Same actually. Yeah.
But over time, you know.
I think just comparatively to the rest of Pixar's filmography, Cars just doesn't quite hit the same marks as Toy Story or even Monsters Inc.
Right, because at that stretch in their filmography, they had, The Incredibles, and then Cars was, and then in between in The Incredibles and Ratatouille and WALL-E and all that.
Like, Cars was good. Cars is good, but it just isn't
not good enough
on that level, right? Which I guess is the same thing I could say for Monsters University, right? Which is, it's good, it's solid animated film, but it's just not on the level of even like Finding Dory. Do you want to talk about Brave?
Brave. I haven't seen Brave since it came out.
Oh wow! Okay.
Actually,
wow.
So it's been a while. I have the DVD here, but I haven't touched it. Yeah.
I think animation-wise is definitely a departure from the rest of their craft. I don't know. I just feel like story-wise it's a bit weaker. The accent work is weird. The plot line where the mother turns into a bear, like all time, just like what the hell is going on here? But honestly, like overall, it's still alright. It's still fine. It's still fine.
I thought until the bear stuff, it was top tier.
Really?
Pixar, yeah. But then the bear stuff came in, and it's fine. It's fun.
It's like
Yeah. But I stepped down.
Too much bear.
Yeah, too much bear.
Too much bear.
Oh well.
The Good Dinosaur. Anything nice to say about that?
Adrian knows it's my least favorite.
Yes.
Of all the Pixar films. I mean, say what you will about the animation, because the animation is fantastic.
Right.
But sticking a cartoony dinosaur into a photorealistic environment doesn't work for me.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do really like the animation. I really like the lightning bug scene of them running around the field. It's one of those like magical Pixar moments that all of the great Pixar films have, but I think the problem with The Good Dinosaur is that even the side characters were really forgettable and weak. Alright, we've paid our dues, so let's move on to the actual bracket.
Round 1.
See, I feel like that's quite poetic, because it's literally the first film Pixar has made versus the last film, until Soul.
Right.
But it's an easy one for me.
It's also a really easy one for me.
Yeah.
I have to say that like Onward is good. I liked it, but I don't know whether it was the pandemic, but even then I felt like it's one of the weaker attempts from Pixar, right? Especially since in these past years they made Coco, they made Inside Out. I expect something higher, And Onward is just good.
Right.
Yeah.
I love Chris Pratt and I love Tom Holland.
Right.
But they are not Tom Hanks as Woody, and they are not Tim Allen as Buzz. You can't get more perfect casting than that.
If we're comparing iconic duos, Toy Story is up there. Not just in animated films, any films.
And it's one of the rare, like first-time animation or otherwise, like in film history, where it still holds up, like the best that it can today.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess it's unanimous between us.
It's unanimous.
Toy Story
it's an
is
easy
going
win.
on to the next round.
Round 2.
I guess for me, the reason why I'm gonna pick Ratatouille here, cause The Incredibles didn't really strike a chord with me, and it's not one of my childhood films. So honestly, I don't really understand the hype around it. But Ratatouille is it's incredible. Like the one scene that I always remember from that film is when Remy first tastes the cheese and the
all the colors and
exactly, like it's that sort of magic Pixar moment, and I think the message of the film just really speaks to me lah.
I have a soft spot for The Incredibles because it's the first movie I've ever seen in a cinema.
Right.
I don't remember much of that experience except like the brief images, and flashes of color. But rewatching it today, I still feel that adrenaline rush because Brad Bird is so good at animation, especially. But I have to give it up lah. The message about behind Ratatouille, about not giving up that artistic expression of yourself.
Anyone, anything can achieve their dream.
Anyone can cook.
Yeah, exactly. Even a rat.
Right.
And I think that's just really beautiful, and I think it's one of the best animated films in the 2000s, and I'm glad that we
yeah, so it's a tough choice, but I think we have a winner for this bracket.
Ratatouille moves up.
Ratatouille.
Round 3.
I like to say a few things about Incredibles 2 first. I actually think it's pretty good. I may even like it more than the first, but that's to say that The Incredibles for me is not a favorite of mine, right?
Right.
That doesn't mean much. But I do think that Incredibles 2 is sort of has the same downfalls as other superhero films, which is like it falls to the tropes, right? The big third act fight between the villains and the heroes, like it's a bit predictable in that way. But it was still really enjoyable to meet the characters again, right? Like after 15 years, right? To see them again on screen and to see their relationship develop.
Yeah, and to see just how much the animation has improved as well.
Exactly, yeah. Like that was one of the big pluses for me. I was like, wow, the animation here looks amazing. Yeah.
I have a soft spot for the Spielberg adventure films, and Up is like a love letter to that. So of course I'm always gonna like Up more. And I think it gives us one of the classic Pixar duos in Carl and Russell. The square, literally square old man, and the rotund Asian boy. It's a very cute dynamic that sort of fills the whole and the opening 15 minutes, man.
Okay, for me, I'm voting Up this round for that 15 minutes. I think that 15 minutes is up there with the strongest stuff that Pixar has ever made, right? Like that 15 minutes is that sort of Pixar magic that we always talk about. But my caveat is that I only really like the 15 minutes. And I think a lot of people think about the 15 minutes and that's what they remember about the film. But the rest of the film for me it's kind of on the weak side. But still, we're both voting for Up, so Up goes to the next round.
Alright.
Round 4.
Ooh, another tough one, honestly.
Yeah,
I think they are both great films. I will always be a defender of Toy Story 4 because a lot of people thought it was unnecessary, and turns out it completed the story more than we thought we needed.
Yeah, for sure.
3 concluded their journey with Andy, but 4 feels like a more personal journey, especially for Woody. And yet, as much as I love Toy Story 4, there's something about WALL-E that is just undescribable. Like the way that Andrew Stanton, right, who directed WALL-E, he uses so much visual language to tell a story. There's almost no words in like the first hour of the film.
It's basically a silent picture.
Yeah.
Which is incredible. And the fact that he pulls it off at like 2009, was it? And it doesn't feel like it. You don't really notice it until you really think about it and you're like, wait, like they're not talking, it's just, robot noises. And I have to say, I'm going to show my cards here. WALL-E is my favorite Pixar film.
Right.
It's exactly that. Like, it's so magical in a way that it manages to capture the essence of animation, right? Which is just showing emotions through motion, right? And it's a great love story between WALL-E and Eve. And yeah, I love the 2001 A Space Odyssey references, on the ship. I love it, man. I for me, like, then Toy Story 4 is great, I love the whole, like, road trip aspect of it. I love that, again, we get to revisit these characters. And, it was so sad to see Woody, really understand his end, right? I love it, but WALL-E is my favorite.
I think it's another unanimous decision here.
Yeah.
So it looks like WALL-E moves to the next round.
Round 5.
Right, this one is real easy for me. I mean, A Bug's Life is clearly Pixar still trying to find their footing. Toy Story was really successful. A Bug's Life feels like, just another addition to their filmography.
It doesn't even really feel like a Pixar film. Like, it could have been from DreamWorks.
And you're onto something because a year prior it was Ants from DreamWorks.
Exactly, yeah.
So it felt kind of a copy of each other.
Yeah, and Coco is just, it's so good. And I'm a sucker for musicals, and I love whenever films can put in a musical aspect. And every single time, when I watch the ending of Coco, I just I just cry, man. So
Coco
for sure. Yeah.
Easy.
Round 6.
Man, Inside Out was just, it showed the imagination of the creators behind it really well, right? Like, putting emotions on screen, and like, that's just, it's crazy. Which is the same concept that they're doing with Soul, right? Which is again by Pete Docter, right? Right. Same guy. Yeah, I just think that it's one of the better ones out of the last few Pixar films, and yeah, I think it does a lot. But Toy Story 2, man, a lot of Toy Story 2 blends with Toy Story for me. Like, in my memory, I remembered it being that Jessie and Bullseye.
Yeah.
Jessie and Bullseye were already there from the beginning. So I guess that shows how influential Toy Story 2 is, and how the two can't really be split apart from each other. But I don't know, man. This is tough.
I like Inside Out, but I think if Inside Out's like the last hour of Inside Out was as good as its first 30 minutes, I think it would be a very different conversation.
Okay.
Yeah. But Toy Story 2, I mean, everything in Toy Story 2 is a step up. Like the villain, you go from Sid, the toy torturing small little spot brat,
to Zurg.
To not just Zurg, but Stinky Pete.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah, any complaints about the villain, right, were washed away with Stinky Pete, because he knows what it's like to be a collector's toy. He wants to be mint. And everything, from Elle's toy barn across the street, to the set pieces, when Buzz and the gang have to cross the street in those traffic cones. Everything is just entertaining, and it wastes no time.
Yeah, I mean, Toy Story 2, man.
We have a winner after a very tough match.
Round 7.
Another easy one for me.
Yeah, another easy one.
I mean, Finding Dory is admirable, but I'm in the minority where I don't like Finding Dory.
Okay.
I thought a sequel was unnecessary in the first place, because Finding Nemo is such a...
That's for sure.
Yeah.
But you have to say, the side characters they added to Finding Dory were pretty fun, right?
Yeah,
like,
the octopus. What's his name?
Hank the octopus. Great. But when you compare it to the original, that's when the problems are really highlighted, right? The heart of Finding Nemo is really the draw of the film.
Right.
And that heart isn't really replicated in Finding Dory. Dory's story about her amnesia and about her parents just aren't as memorable and aren't as captivating as Marlene's story.
And I think Ellen DeGeneres works better as a side character, to steal the spotlight.
I agree completely. Yeah.
But one thing about Finding Dory is the animation. Again, like
Again,
it's a
of
step
course,
up in every
of
way.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just cause of technology and the way that it works lah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
But Finding Nemo.
yep, for the both of us, Finding Nemo.
Round 8.
I mean, I love Toy Story 3, but Monsters Inc. has to be one of the most efficient films that Pixar has ever done. The way they set up the world building, in just one scene, which is the scare hall, and you see all the doors coming down, and the way that their industry works, that is some of the best world building that Pixar has to offer. Because they have all these concepts that sometimes take a lot of time to set up. Like Coco, it takes its time to talk about different elements, but Monsters Inc. just moves. Yeah, and I think it's Pete Docter's first crack at it, which makes it even more impressive.
I mean, it's Toy Story 3, man. I think unanimously, that's the film that people crown as the best Pixar film, and it might just be the best Pixar film. I mean, Lotso, just one of the best villains, and it culminates the entire story of, growing up and about, the hardships of being a toy, right? Like, that's the thing that really pulls us to the Toy Story films, right? Is bringing up that relationship within a child and his toy. And I think a lot of us can relate to that, and this is that end to that. At least until Toy Story 4. But this is the end to Andy's story and him growing up and him, letting go of his childhood. And I think that's just really, really powerful stuff.
Best Picture nominee, Toy Story 3.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, so I guess it's Toy Story 3.
Toy Story 3, guys.